Hey guys, this is Louie from Instinct Survival. Today what I want to show you is something that I've been working on for the last few days, and it's basically my attempt at one of those survival grenades that I've seen online. It's basically 12 feet of paracord, and I've seen several that's all it is just the paracord, and you snip these ends off and attach it to a keychain or stick it in your pocket or whatever. What I wanted to do is add a few things to it, just to see if I could really, and it actually turned out pretty well. So what I'm going to do is just show you what all I've got in there and how I made it. Alright guys, I got everything taken apart, and what I'm going to do real quick is just show you what I have inside of it. And there's still more room, like I could probably put more stuff in there, but I'm just going to show you what I did. Like I said, this is my first attempt. The first thing that you have is obviously the paracord, and I've got about 12.5, maybe 13 feet in here, and I had a little bit of excess on that extra, on the one that I showed you before. So what we're going to do is just trim the ends of it a little bit when we get done. It's good just to have a little extra, just in case you don't make it long enough. So I put a little bit extra on there. Next thing I have is a fishing hook. This is a real small one. In my experience, you can catch big fish with small hooks. You can't catch small fish with big hooks, so it's always better to go small if you're going to do anything. Plus, we're putting it into a pretty small space. I have a small fishing weight. It's a split shot weight, and I just threw that in there to see if I could do it. I have a first aid tinder bundle that I made. You can watch one of my videos. I'll post a link on how to make these. I put a couple safety pins in there. These are, I think, medium size, maybe small size, but they're pretty small. Then I have a razor blade wrapped in duct tape, and I went ahead and pushed a needle through there because I wanted to add a needle, and this was the easiest way that I could see to do it. The last thing I have is some fishing line. I don't know if you can see that or not on the camera, but I have this is 20-pound test monofilament. Braided would be better, but all my braided is on my fishing gear right now, and I don't have any extra, so we're going to use the mono for our purposes, just for the demonstration. So the first thing that you need to do is find the middle of your cord, just like in everything else, just like you're making a bracelet. And I measured with my hand about 4 fingers length with a little extra for the key ring. Again, I'm kind of doing this at a weird angle because I don't have my tripod. I'm probably not the best person to show you guys how to do paracord braids because I kind of learned them myself. So if you want to watch how to do a cobra stitch, I'll post a link to another video with how to do the cobra stitch. But this whole thing is cobra, and it's real easy. All you do, let's see if I can show you how to do this, is make a loop on one side, bring the other side over that piece, under and through the loop. Pull it all the way through, tighten it down, pull it up to make it a little bit tighter, and that's it. Now the first thing that I did was I added my hook, and all I did for this was I made 2 knots, and then I turned the hook upside down so that it's going to end up in between the 2 middle strands. And I'm just going to force it up in there. And then you should end up with something like that, where it's wrapped in there and mostly concealed. The next thing I did was to hold that in, I took my fishing line and I just started to wrap it. At first I was really concerned with wrapping this like symmetrically, and after I did it a couple times and figured out how it all worked, I realized that being symmetrical is not as important when you're making something this big. If you were to make a bracelet, you'd want it to be thinner than this, but since this is going to end up so thick as it is, because of this, basically because of the size that we're making, I'm not too concerned with being very symmetrical. But you don't really want to go crazy because you want your cord, or you want your fishing line to not get all tangled up like it's trying to do right now. Switch sides here. And I basically just want to wrap it and kind of bury that fishing hook underneath of it. And once I get the fishing hook basically wrapped, I'm going to set that down. Put something on there to hold it so it doesn't come all unwrapped. And then I'm going to take my tinder bundle and the split shot weight. And the easiest way that I found to do this was just to push the split shot weight onto the end of the tinder bundle and squeeze it down a little bit, and that just makes it easier to fit it in between the two middle strands. Get my fishing line out of the way. And all I do here is basically hold it in like that. And I'm going to make wide stretches of my fishing line over it to hold it in. And then I'm just going to come back over it and make it a little bit tighter. And like I said, guys, this is the same strand of fishing line that I used the first couple times that I did this, just to figure it out on my own. And it kinked up a little bit. Like I said, with braided line, you're not going to deal with that as much. So it would definitely be a better choice. But I've wrapped it up like this 3 times so far, and I've not experienced any tangling. You just have to be careful. And you want to kind of spread it out a little bit so that you're not ending up with just a ton of bulk in one place. Otherwise you're going to have bulges. And that's that. Next thing what I did is I just took a little piece of electrical tape, and this is purely just to hold that fishing line in place while I do the rest of the braid. And it sticks it on there like that, and you should end up with something like this. And that's the bulk of your stuff. Now what I'm going to do is go through, make the rest of these knots. You just go all the way down. And I'll get back to you after I make all these knots. As you can see, I made my first set of knots, and if you look closely you can still see the fishing line poking through. You can see a little bit of the tape poking through, and you probably can't see it on the camera, but you can see a little bit of the hook there too. And what we're going to do is just cover that up, add the rest of our stuff in, and go over it making another set of knots. And this is what is going to add the bulk to it. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to start making your knots. And I like to add a couple knots just to start with, so that I kind of know what I'm working with and I can see a little bit more of the pattern. And then I'm going to start adding my stuff in. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to add the safety pins. And all you do for this, to get it started, is to slip them under. I thought about trying to weave it in to the paracord by like slipping it over the hole or into the middle, and it just kind of sits it up on the side and makes it a little bit more bulky and a little bit more difficult to work with, so I decided not to go with that. Alright, so you got your safety pins started there. Next thing I'm going to do is just hold this blade onto the back, like so. And we're just going to go over it with our knots. And this part's kind of the pain, the part that sucks, because it's kind of a pain to hold it in place and then tie knots over it. And get it to where it's stable. But we're going to do the best that we can here. Tighten it up. And after you get a couple knots in, you should be able to let it go and it'll hold itself in pretty well. Alright. So now it's holding itself in pretty good there. Go through it again with all the knots. And as you can see, let me flip it around here real quick. What these new knots are doing is they're starting to cover the negative spaces where you could see the material that was underneath the fishing line and the tape. Alright guys, I made my third set of knots, and I've still got pretty good length here, so I'm going to go over it again and try to cover it more. As you can see, you can't see the fishing line at all anymore. What you can see is the safety pins and the razor blade. So I'm just going to go over it again. Same thing. Start with more knots and just work your way down. Alright guys, I've just made another set of knots. I still have more paracord, so I'm going to keep working my way down. Hopefully I have enough to cover this up. And as you can see, you can still see a little bit of the safety pin there. And you can still see the top of the razor blade. So I'm going to go over it one more time. So this is the finished product here. All you would do from here is trim the ends, burn them, and you got yourself about 12 feet of paracord with some survival essentials inside. It's not real big. It seems a little bit big to put on a keychain for me, so I wouldn't really call this like a key fob, but it's something to throw into your bug out bag or throw into your pocket when you're leaving the house. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and head over to our Facebook page, like our page, and post your comments. Get involved in the conversations that are going on over there. If you have any questions about the video, you can post them over there or post them below. Thanks for watching.